and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today is How to Tarot Tuesday. It is a weekly reading that I do every Tuesday, and what I do is I go through starting with the Major Arcana. I pull 3 examples of a card from the Major and Minor Arcana, and I choose the card from 3 different tarot decks. And then what we do is we go ahead and analyze the symbols in the tarot card, and then after we have discussed the symbols, if the watcher would choose a tarot deck, and I will go ahead and do a tarot and oracle card reading describing how that card manifests in your life. The basis of my channel is that I believe that symbols speak to you every day. It's kind of like a subconscious language similar to dreams, and I feel like there's just so much to be learned by oracle and by tarot. I think it's a good way to meditate and to solve problems or to think about problems. And I host the How to Tarot Tuesday just to help kind of go over the symbols again, and also just learn more about tarot and other symbols in oracle. Now, if you ever want to skip the description part of the reading and go straight to the reading part of the video, the timestamps are always listed in the description box below, so please feel free to scrub forward and go straight to your reading. Now, today's How to Tarot card is the Hermit, and the Hermit is probably, again, I know I have a lot of favorites, but the Hermit is a very special card. It's very intuitive, and it just has such a powerful message. So again, you don't have to be experienced, you don't have to be a seasoned card reader to go over the symbols of a card. Sometimes it's good to revisit it, and by all means, I enjoy learning. So if there's a symbol in the card that you see, please feel free to leave a comment in the description box below. Also, if you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you are so inclined, if you like the content, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And I have a beloved 11 subscribers, and I'm very grateful. So we'll go ahead and get started and talk about the description of the card. The Hermit, again, is a very mystical card. This interpretation is the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is the staple of all tarot. And what you see is, to begin, you see a very kind of neutral gray-blue background, and then you see what looks like an older man, almost wizard-like, standing with a walking staff and a cloak. Again, his garb is all gray, but it's kind of like a dove-colored gray. It's not really dark or foreboding. It almost looks like, kind of peaceful and serene and cerebral. In his hand, he's holding up a lantern that contains a star that is brightly illuminated and seems to be lighting his way. When you look at first off, his head is bowed in reverence, as if he is deep in thought or if he is surrendering to something. Again, he seems to be either concentrating or seems to be bowing his head in some type of, it almost looks religious. When you look at his feet, you can see that it looks like there's snow at his feet, and in the background you see what looks like mountains. So it does look like this man has been traveling. It looks like he has climbed to the top of a mountaintop, and it looks like he is illuminated, or he is in kind of a thought-provoked state. Now, the 3 different decks that I chose, and I'll go over them, a little bit later, but he looks very similar. This is the Greer Tarot, and it's the same image. Here, it doesn't look like the star is contained. It looks like it's just kind of held in place by the bars of the lantern, but he has the same staff. And here, it's very clear, and I like this depiction, is that it's very clear that he is at the apex. He's at the top of a mountain peak that is covered in snow, and he has mountains behind him. Again, he has that very kind of peaceful sky. You don't see any stars in the sky, and it's almost as if he's not looking up. He's looking, again, within, possibly, you know, looking at himself or thinking about a problem. Now, in the third deck that I picked is, and this is a tarot deck by Liz Dean, it is more of the same. Here, the lantern, you don't see as much of the star. You can tell that the star is there, but it's a little bit more obscured. And what's interesting here is that in this depiction, he looks almost priest-like or monk-like in the cloak that he wears. And then, you know, he looks a little bit younger, but he almost looks like a philosopher. He looks like someone who, you know, like Ptolemy or one of the Greek, you know, philosophers. You see the same, you know, kind of neutral sky, and then you also see him also on a mountain top. What I think is interesting about this depiction is that he has a snake that has crawled around his cane, but it doesn't look like it's attacking. It looks very peaceful, and it looks like it's almost there as a guardian or as a mascot. It is something there that is showing him the way or traveling with him, almost in protection. Now, snakes wrapped around a pole typically are indicative of a caduceus. And what that usually means is that's usually the symbol of healers, of travelers. It is a sign of safe journeys, and it is also a sign of transformation. Snakes can also be transformation. Now, what's interesting about the Hermit is that you can tell very clearly that he is thinking things over. He looks perspective, right? This is an older gentleman who has traveled up to a snowy peak in order to think about something. So what's beautiful about the Hermit is that this person is knowledgeable. It's not like the Fool where he's starting out on a journey. It looks as if he very purposefully went up into the mountaintops in order to reflect on something. So here we are looking at someone who looks like a teacher, someone who has been through life and who knows a lot, who is purposely going into seclusion in order to think about something. So the Hermit typically means introspection. It is the sign of somebody who has collected knowledge and who needs time to sort out that knowledge. He needs time to think about it and apply it. Now, so a lot of times when you see the Hermit, it means that maybe you've gone through a situation where you've learned something and you just need some time to kind of, you know, go through that knowledge. It also means, you know, concentrating less on the senses. I've always learned that, you know, just like symbols speak to us out in the real world, there is a lot of marketing and a lot of like overstimulation. I had one, you know, professor teach, you know, that was very intuitive, that the moment that you step outside your door, you are hit with what is like over 100 tennis balls of different symbols and marketing. And so sometimes the Hermit can be a sign that you need to withdraw. You need to, it's too much. You've collected what you needed to collect and you need time to kind of sort it out. It is also a sign of needing to understand. It can be a sign of looking for the answers within yourself. What's interesting about the Hermit is the fact that astrology-wise, it is represented by Virgo, or the 6th house. And the reason being is that Virgos are very organized. They're very communicative signs, and they are about service. So again, the Hermit is different in the fact that, first off, he's a Major Arcana, so he's the number 9. The number 9 precedes 10, and 10s represent conclusion or the apex of a situation. So here you have someone who might have gone through 9 stages of a situation and is about to come to conclusion, but before he does that, he wants to get all of his facts together and really, you know, find the answers in a very wise and perspective way. Again, being a Virgo, it can mean the Hermit can represent a teacher, someone who is good, who understands things and wants to relay that. It could also mean, it can be a sign that you may need to seek out a teacher or seek out someone who knows more than you. It is a sign of seclusion. clearly this person has gone to a very far away place in order to not be disturbed. Now, what I think is so interesting is that in movies and in books, the Hermit is a very popular character. Just about every single major, fantasy film that you've ever seen has someone who has, gone away or purposely removed himself from society in order to be a guru, to be someone who is very spiritually enlightened. Now, it is somebody who is, the Hermit represents someone who is searching for something, it really is someone who goes into contemplation to find the truth. So there's a very strong element of self-discovery, of quiet study, and, of both of patience and to kind of keeping to yourself. Now, the Hermit typically means, in the upright, typically means the good kind of keeping to yourself. It's not someone who is unhealthy in the way that they're removing themselves. It is really someone who has a lot on their mind, or someone who is really going over very heavy ideas in their head. The other meaning for the Hermit can also mean that maybe you've taken up a new study and you're just kind of infatuated with it, you're excited about it, and you just kind of want to learn everything there is to learn about it. And then the other side of it would be that maybe it can also mean that, if you've gone through some major events in your life, sometimes it's also just a sign to say, okay, it's okay to pull away. You don't have to be front and center and interacting with everyone if you don't want to. It is very thoughtful contemplation. It can be, again, desiring stillness. And in that respect, the Hermit could also mean connecting to source. One thing that I've been seeing a lot lately is that I keep getting cards that says, the wisdom is within you. I've been getting cards that say, listen, like just quiet yourself and go within. So sometimes sometimes the universe or your guides might be telling you, okay, the answer is not out there. And when you get the Hermit, it might be saying that. It might be saying the answer is within you. The answer is within you. And what it is that for as quiet as this man is and how much he's looking at the ground or looking at the steps in front of him, that star seems to glow with the knowledge that is within him, or the knowledge that is stemming from himself. So sometimes it is about grounding. The mountains in the background usually indicate problems or surmounting problems or getting above them. Also, sometimes, mountains can also be representative in Lenormand of being a little bit cold. And again, with the snow on the ground, it just kind of means that you may need to, again, in order to surmount your problems or to reflect on your problems, you kind of need to get away. Now, the Hermit in reverse has several different meanings. It can definitely mean that, it can definitely mean that you might be having trouble finding the answers. It can be that you're really searching and searching and searching, and you're just not finding what you need. A lot of times the Hermit in reverse can also mean, it can mean it can mean that kind of negative seclusion. It can mean that you're withdrawing into yourself too much. Again, mountains can mean cold behavior, and if you see mountains in reverse, it can mean, okay, the problems are not going away, the problems are actually getting worse, and you might be reacting in a cold or distant way. So that could be problems in your life that are kind of knocking on your door and asking for attention, and you're just ignoring them. It can be focusing on externals. It can be that you're still so caught up in that outside world that you're finding it difficult to get inside, to get grounded, to listen. My mom always calls that, whenever there's just so much chaos that you just put your ear to the ground. You just stop everything you're doing and put your ear to the ground. It can be, the Hermit can be like fear of intimacy. It can be that you just do not like human contact, or for some reason, that for some inner reason you're not acknowledging or analyzing the reasons why you want to be alone. That can definitely be a meaning. It can also be a kind of a stubborn self-reliance. It actually can kind of mean that crotchety old person, you know, not even old, but just crotchety person that always just wants to be alone. Like, people are stupid, and you know, I don't want to deal with it. I'm much smarter on my own. But then, you know, the Hermit in reverse is telling you, okay, are you really smarter than everyone? Do you really just want to be alone all the time? Is that, you know, no man is an island is kind of what you see when you see the Hermit in reverse. It can also be a stance that people feel like they're safer in their own mind. A lot of very intellectual people can sometimes feel this way. If you've, you know, sometimes circumstances, you know, warrant it. Maybe you've been on a series of bad dates, or maybe you've just had interactions with people that were just negative and made you feel rejected. And then what you do is you just say, I'm better off alone. I don't need anybody. But really, no man is an island, right? That's kind of another interpretation. But any way you look at it, when the Hermit shows up in your reading, it's definitely a beautiful time to turn within. It's a good time too. And it's also, you know, depending on the surrounding cards, it's also telling you that all the knowledge, all the wisdom that you need is inside of you, and it's just waiting to be discovered. So just, you know, pull away and you know, follow that star, because that is all inside of you, and it's ready to serve you. All right. So that's the interpretation of the Hermit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'm going to let you choose one of your tarot decks. The tarot is the meat of the reading. It's the one that gives you the best answers. It gives you very descriptive and very direct answers to your questions. Now I have 3 decks here. Throughout the entire How to Tarot series, the first deck will always be the Rider-Waite-Smith. I use a German production of the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is a very clear reprint of the original Rider RWS deck. And paired with it, I have a sunstone. It's a very beautiful stone. It almost looks kind of brown. But that would be your choice of deck number 1. Deck number 2 is the Morgan Greer deck. This one has definitely very beautiful images. And paired with it, I have a lovely lapis lazuli stone that's blue, and it has great veins of marble there. So that is deck number 2. And then deck number 3 is the Art of Tarot by Liz Dean. And paired with it is a citrine, which, again, I'm trying to use natural light today. It's a really pretty stone. But I'll go ahead and pause the video and let you choose, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, and we're back. Let's go ahead and get started. To clarify our readings today, I'm going to be using the meditation cards, and I also have a German deck that is Lenormand based. All of the names of the products, names and authors of the products and decks that I use are in the description box below. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ask the question, how does the Hermit manifest in your life? So deck number 1, the Rider-Waite-Smith, how does the Hermit manifest in your life right now? How does the Hermit manifest in, thank you. How does the Hermit manifest in deck number 1's life right now? That was on the bottom of the deck and a minute ago, and then you got the World on the bottom now. So, wow, guys. Okay. We're also going to try. I've been trying to keep the readings a little bit more succinct. If you like the readings longer, like more like 10, more like 15, 20 minutes, let me know. But, for the How to Tarot, we'll try to keep it under 10. So deck number 1, please clarify, what can they do to Hermit? Deck number 1. Okay. All right. So deck number 1, how does the Hermit manifest in your life right now or in general? To begin, you got Temperance. So the Temperance is that beautiful card of an angel mixing 2 opposing elements. You see that she has 1 foot on earth and 1 foot in water. And what that tells me is that right now you are really pulling into yourself, or the way that the Hermit manifests is that you're really there's kind of a unseen force that's really trying to balance things in your life. What I see is that you got the two of Pentacles, which is the person juggling. And when you look in the background, you see ships that are kind of on a rocky sea. You're kind of up, you're kind of down. And then, this is a card about balancing finances, about balancing money. And then the third one that you got was the 5 of Pentacles, which is that's a card of being out in the cold. It's having a lot of financial lack. So right now I definitely see that what you're doing is you're trying to keep a balance emotionally and just in your life in general, because money has been very tight. It's been, a Peter Paul kind of situation. It's kind of like, do I need to, do I pay this? Do I not pay this? How do I get ahead? How do I get out of this position of just always being, not having enough? And I do believe that what the Hermit is manifesting as is just for you to recognize that things will be okay. There is a higher power here, and honestly I do kind of get a feeling like you're either praying to your higher power or praying to God for answers, for help, because money has been a great worry on your mind. It's been almost oppressive. You really feel like you're just afraid that it's never going to get better. And but I assure you, the fact that this is an angel, this is the universe trying to balance these opposite forces within you. And I just want you to know that, as you kind of pull away, just know that the outside world is all of those balances, is paying the bills and feeling the lack and, just trying to make ends meet. So kind of pulling away and kind of trying to see the bigger picture is very healthy for you. I know it definitely looks like this has been a very hard situation, and I'm so sorry for that. I do think that it is going to get better. You got your Lenormand card, you got the Child. Now, this could be financial that is revolving around a child. We are in the holiday season, so maybe you have some worries that are either revolving around, helping a child or but the other meaning of the Child can also be new beginnings. And that's kind of how I'm reading it. I see that things have been a juggle. Things are going to probably feel like they're getting a little bit worse before they get better. But definitely pull in. It's telling you that all of the information that you need on how to solve this problem, how to get into a better place, is definitely within you. And if you just kind of pull inward and kind of just meditate and focus, the answers are there, and it is saying that you would have a new beginning, and the Child is really coming across as a new beginning, as a new start. And your advice is, you got breathing, and again, you got another child here. I really feel like either there's a child involved, or it's kind of asking you to kind of look at the situation in a very simple way, like kind of through the eyes of a child. Don't overanalyze. Maybe that's what it is. I think it is also kind of telling you to have a little bit of faith. Have faith that you do have that you do have the skill to get through this. You do have the skill to get back ahead of whatever financial issues or whatever's making you feel like you don't have enough. Now, I love the mantra, the meditation for breathing is, mindfulness of breathing is integral to peace of mind and has many practical applications, especially for singers, musicians, and sports people. To make the experience more intense, focus on these thoughts. I am inhaling deeply and slowly. I am exhaling more completely. My breath is a bridge between my mind and my body. I am aware of each small physical sensation as I breathe in and out. If you practice yoga, or if you just Google, like if you just pull up a very basic yoga video on YouTube, it really is neat how if you focus on breathing in and holding and then exhaling and really let your stomach kind of rise and fall. But what really stood out to me is the breath. My breath is the bridge between my mind and my body. And remember how he said that the hermit is grounding? It's getting back to your source. So I really do think that it's telling you, and pentacles are physical. Pentacles are the world, like your physical world. And then the cups, and temperance is a major arcana. Those are kind of emotions. And there's two cups here, and he's kind of juggling, and she's kind of doing the alchemy between it. So I just think that it's the universe's way of saying there is new beginnings on the horizon. I know it's been really hard, but definitely try to just ground yourself. Try to stay in a positive place. Kind of get grounded in the physical world, and I do see that things will get better. Maybe by the end of the year or by the start of the new year. Okay, so deck number 1, that was your reading. I know, I definitely feel you. I know this time of year it's really tough because it's the holiday season, and and money does get tight. Bills creep up on that, around this time of year. So now deck number 2, you got the Morgan Greer, and let's go ahead and get into your reading. Can you see? Okay, good. So Morgan Greer, how does the Hermit manifest in your life? This one is really, oh my God, guys. This was really, it wouldn't let me shuffle. It kept hitting me. It kept bending. And this is the same card that came out in the first position for deck number 1. You got Temperance. Oh, what that tells me is that there's a lot of commonality in the collective. We're all kind of in the same boat. It also tells me that the universe is looking out for all of us. It's gonna be okay. So, deck number 2, how does the Hermit manifest? Oh, thank you. Wow. Okay. Deck number 2, how does the Hermit? Okay, that kind of flipped. Let me try again. Okay, thank you. Advice for the Morgan Greer Hermit. Advice for our Morgan Greer Hermit. Okay. That's very good advice. I've gotten that before. All right, deck number 2. How does the Hermit represent in your life right now? Well, first off, you definitely got some Major Arcana cards. Now, the first one, interesting enough, again, like I said, the last deck got Temperance in the very same position, in the first position. And what that is that you've got the angel. You got an angel who is mixing, they're balancing two separate elements, and they're making them together. They're balancing. And here they have one foot on earth and one foot in the water. So what I see is you've got the universe, spirit. It's basically saying spirit's got your back, right? It's saying that there are things going on behind the scenes that are going to help balance the situations that you've got going on in your life. And what's interesting about this is right after the angel balancing it, you got justice. And justice is a very powerful card. It's a very Libra card, but typically it usually means that you might have some kind of, this could be a marriage, or it could be something legal, like legally binding, some kind of court case possibly. But basically, these are all very positive cards. It just means that you might be in the middle of a situation that requires balance. And sorry, there's an ambulance going by. But What's beautiful about the Justice card in this deck is that it really does have like all the chakra colors, and it kind of goes from the bottom to the top. It's got like root, and then it goes into heart, and then it goes into throat, which is blue, and then purple towards the crown, right? And but what it's really telling me, and it's funny, I noticed that. I've never noticed that before in that card. It's really quite beautiful. It's all jewel tones. If it's not necessarily a legal situation, it is probably a situation where you have to judge something or you are being judged. But the beautiful thing about justice is that, especially when it's upright, it means that the right decision will be made. The right decision will be made. And you can see if these colors do pertain to chakra, it's the healthy expression of all the chakras. So what it's telling me is, you know, the sword of truth is always level. The scales of truth are always balanced. And what it's going to do is it's going to weigh the situation. And if you were wrong, it will judge you in the light of justice. But it's not going to severely punish you for anything that you didn't do wrong. You know what I mean? Justice is fair. Justice is fair. It's almost like if you've ever gone to traffic court and you're like, yeah, I really run that stop sign. I really did. That was me. My bad. You know, the judge is going to make that decision, right? So I definitely see like there's some kind of situation in your life that you've really been reflecting on. And I'm also getting the sense that because justice is right underneath Hermit, you really have been reflecting. You've been doing the work. You've been thinking about the ways in which the reasons why you're being judged, or the reasons why you have to judge someone else. You really are. You're thinking. You've gotten all the facts. You've gotten all the facts of the situation, and you went up to your mountaintop to review those facts and really say, okay, where could my behavior have been any different? Where could my actions been more ethical and level? And where could the other person's actions be more ethical and level? But the fact that these two are major, you definitely have a universal source. You have angels in the universe trying to help balance this situation, because there is something about balance being needed. The things are not level as of right now, but the universe is you know, the gears are turning to make it level, to make that, the universe is helping make that call. And, you know, again, you might have to pay a little bit of penance. If you were not in the right, then you might have to step up and make it balanced. But as soon as that decision is made, it almost looks like you're waiting. The other thing about the Hermit is that you're going into seclusion. You're not out in public because of this justice situation, just because of something that needs to be judged. But the moment that decision is made, the moment that that judgment call is made, it looks like you are going to celebrate, and you're going to celebrate in a very emotional way. Because the other thing is, in Temperance, I'm seeing cups. Right now, in the middle, it's almost like you're holding back, or something, there's a situation that's making you hold back. But the moment that situation is remedied, the moment that situation is solved, you know, decision made, okay, you know, pay your fine, you are free to go. The moment you are free to go, you have the Knight of Cups and the Three of Cups. Now, this can be read one of two ways. It can be that kind of, it can be kind of that rolling in the field of I'm free, let me go partay. And you can go out and but this really is, the Knight of Cups is a romantic guy. He's a little bit of the smooth talking love guy. And the fact that you have kind of three women here and you got a man, it could mean that you're going out there to play the field. This could possibly, justice can rule marriages or legal entanglements with someone who's like a spouse, or someone that you might owe money to, or that you might be bound to in kind of a marriage type way. But it seems like the moment that you're out of that legal obligation, you want to go out and give your heart, and you want to kind of celebrate. So there's two ways that this can manifest. You could really go out and say, okay, I'm free, let me date as many people as I want, or let me play the field. That's one interpretation, and definitely the Knight of Cups is a little bit of a Lothario that way. Now, the other interpretation and the way that the cards came out was like this. So I'm going to kind of read it like that too, which is there could be one person, because the Knight of Cups has one cup, which is his cup. So there's one other way that I could read this. You could either have a choice of a few people, you might have options, and you might say, okay, let me go explore my options now that I'm free to do so, which is a little bit of plays into the first interpretation. Or the other thing is, he does kind of look like he specifically has his eye. It's not like he's looking around. He kind of has his eye straight ahead. So he might have his eye on just one of these persons. He might know who he wants to go for, because the other thing is the Three of Cups is a celebration card. It's the sign of getting together. So what this could be is okay, I've got a gut message here that says there's someone that you want to offer your cup of love to, but you have to do it in a public setting. Please tell me if this resonates, because that's what I'm getting. There might be one person that you really, now that you are free to give your cup of love, there's one person that you specifically want to give it to, but possibly given all of this restriction, you have to do it in more of a public. It's almost like you have to invite them out on a group date in order to get them alone. That's possible, because women do travel in packs, they travel in groups. Either that, or you might, meet up with this person privately, and then it's almost like you're coming out and saying, okay, you might, and honestly, Temperance is a reconciliation card. It can also be you reconciling. You can say, gosh, I wasn't able to be with you in the past because of this legal or binding situation. Now that it's done, I can make this right. I can make this balanced. And after it's balanced, you can almost be, you don't have to be quiet about it. You can say, okay, I'm picking this person and this is my person. And let me shout it from the mountaintops. That's the other thing, Hermit, mountaintops. You might be saying, okay, let me really make it public now that I'm free to make it public. I'm with this person. So I know that's several interpretations, but it's interesting. I am kind of getting like a public vibe, but I don't know. It could be that you're just free to do what you want, or it could be that you're free now and you have to go about it a certain way. But what kind of shows me that it's a little bit more altruistic, or a little bit more of a good kind of energy instead of a player type of energy, is that you do got Temperance and you got the Star. So I really get the vibe that this night has wanted this outcome. This night has really been waiting for this to get resolved. It's been a long process. So that celebration, and the fact that you have the Star and the Hermit, you see the Star is in the lantern, right? It's what he wants, right? It's actually what I'm kind of getting is the Star is what's keeping this guy going, right? He's had to withdraw. He's had to not take action. This is also the other thing about the Hermit. It's a non-action card. And you might have been forced to be in non-action, and you just keep looking at your Star. And in this deck, he really does look like he's looking at his Star, doesn't it? It's like he's got eyes on the prize, eyes on the prize. And the Star is that hope card. It's like, it's what, promises you that things will get better. So I do think that you have some kind of, now it's not the Six of Wands where it would be flat out victory, and the fact that there's so many cups involved. It could be that you're just free to do what you want, that's possible. But the advice that you got was diet. And I love this card because I love blueberries, and blueberries are very healthy for you. But it's definitely telling you that a nutritious daily diet contributes significantly to a long and healthy life. Consider what you eat, the amount you eat, and the speed at which you eat, and incorporate your thoughts on these matters into your meditation. The meditation would be, I am aware of the flavor and texture of every mouthful. I give thanks for the bountiful harvest and take nothing for granted. I'm trying to eat more slowly and consume smaller quantities, and I value sharing with others and the pleasure of meals. So that basically it's telling you, yeah, it is kind of telling you to kind of watch what you eat, but not in a bad way. I know with the hustle and bustle of both work and holiday life, sometimes you don't get enough time to eat, and I always try to digest, and I know that's hard. The other thing is it might be the timing. You know, sometimes you wait until you're starving, and then you look at the carb ball like you want all pasta or you want all pizza, and then you end up bloated and overly full afterwards. So here it's just telling you that, you know, even though life is getting busy, you know, try to be mindful of what you're putting in your body. With all these cups too, it can be pointing to a little bit of, you know, other indulgences, maybe too much sugar or, you know, too many glasses of wine. But here, I think it is definitely leaning more towards just the healthy foods, you know, try to get veggies in there. But, all right, so deck number 2, that one's a good one. I like that. All right, so deck number 3. Let's go ahead. You got the Liz Dean Hermit. It's always a fun one. So let's get right into it. Deck number 3, how does the Hermit manifest in your life? Ooh. Ah, not the Temperance. Ooh, there's that 6 of Wands I was talking about. Ace of Wands. Ooh, you got some action, deck 3. So deck number 3, how does the Hermit manifest? Did one flip? No, okay. How does the Hermit manifest in deck 3's life? How does the Hermit manifest in deck 3's life? Ooh, thank you. Wow, you guys, I'm going to read these together because they were kind of in front of one another. You got an all wands reading. This is very fiery. It's very fiery, guys. I don't know if you're a fire sign, Aries, Leo. It's the 3rd Sagittarius. Let's see. Now this is kind of sticking out. Ooh, lucky. The fact I'm getting Clover, I'm guessing you're a Sagittarius. Just because, well, you know, all fire signs are lucky, but Jupiter is always, there you go, creativity. This kind of popped out in the reverse earlier, too. But. I love it that we got Solitude on the top of the deck. I thought that's kind of neat. I kind of think of that when you think of Hermit, right? But, all right, so let's go ahead and read. So... And also this is what they refer to as a pip deck, which means when you see wands, there's not a formal story to it. I know what the meanings are, but so basically, so deck number 3, you got a very fiery reading. You got this. Wands are very spiritual, and they mean, you know, they mean action. They make taking action. They can also be spirit, and the fact that the Hermit is carrying a wand, I really do think that plays into it. You know, it's a walking stick. It's a, excuse me. But basically, I think that you've had some kind of victory in the past. Either that, or you're just you have a lot of acclaim going on. You're very well viewed right now in your life, and so you're kind of on a high. You're kind of on a high note, or you're just coming off of a high note where you just had a period where you just had a lot of success. Everyone's looking up to you. You're in a good place. Both, it looks like you're in a good place in your public life. It's not cups or pentacles, so it's not really material wealth or emotions. But I just get this feeling like, you know, you may not have all the money in the world, but you are on top. Like you feel like you're in a spiritually, and especially with the Hermit being spiritually, I think, you know, you may not have all the money in the world, but you are content, or you're being looked at like a leader, and you're just in a very good place spiritually. Now, it looks like, you know, normally, you know, the 6 of Wands is the coming back from the war and being victorious. And following that, you got the Ace of Wands, which means like, gosh, you know, I just came back from one volley of awesomeness, and now I get to go into, there's even more to do, because the Ace is a beginning. It's the seed. So you have an idea, or there's something else beginning. So, you know, you kind of came, it's almost like you're surfing a wave, and then another wave is coming right after that one that you can, you know, get ready to surf. So you definitely are very, I feel like this is a very active time. The other thing is, because wands are action, the Hermit might be telling you, okay, you got a lot of action going on in your real world. So that might be why the Hermit is showing up, or why this is showing as your manifestation, is because sometimes you do need to pull within yourself. When you got so much going on, it's definitely good to take some downtime, because this can be a little overstimulating. Definitely you've had a victory, you're starting something new. And again, these are beginnings, so this could be the start of something really amazing. But then by the time you get to the end, or past, present, and then where it's possibly going, is you got the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is definitely that it's a little bit of a defensive card, but it just basically means like, okay, I've done all this. Now it's kind of being worn out. It's kind of like, okay, you've been putting a lot of energy into all this exciting stuff, but it's kind of put you into a position where, okay, it's almost like you kind of have to guard all of the progress that you've made. And all of this action has really kind of made you exhausted. You're a little worn out, There's really, it definitely gives an image of someone who just, you kind of need a break. You can't continue at this breakneck speed indefinitely, and you're kind of burning out. Now, on top of that, you got the Knight of Wands. And again, it's more fire energy. It's almost like, it's just, boom, boom, boom. And, again, you had a victory, then you had a new beginning. Now you were just kind of worn out. You're just kind of like battle worn. You've been doing all this stuff, and it's not even that you might be defending your turf, so to speak. Maybe there are some activities that you did that were specifically kind of your personality, and now you have to kind of say, okay, you kind of have to put your trademark on it, and and defend that as yours. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. It's almost like you've done some pretty unique stuff, and all of a sudden, you've come this far, and you're a little tired now. It's like, God, how many times do I have to bottle lightning? It's kind of the feeling I'm getting. But you do have more to do. You have more to do, and the Knight of Wands is that he's a fiery character. He's not a king or a queen, so it's almost like the young adult version of Wands energy. So you just go, 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 go. But behind the scenes, or behind all this endless energy, you are getting a little worn out. You're starting to burn out, and that is one side effect of the Knight of Wands, is that almost like a sparkler. They burn really bright, but then when they clunk and they wear out, it's like, okay, then that's silence. It's nothing. So I think the Hermit is trying to tell you, or the Hermit, the reason it's manifesting that way is you've had a lot of abundance. You've been on a high lately, and that's wonderful. But you may want to kind of pull away. Again, it's going up to the mountaintop. You've received all this information. You've been doing all of this activity. You've been exuding the energy to do all this. But it might be good to kind of pull into yourself, to turn the phone off, to go off the grid when you can, in order to kind of process all this. You've received, the Hermit, remember, has received this information received. He knows what to do. Now he just has to kind of recharge his batteries. It's almost like he has to put all of those accomplishments, kind of almost like when you press the brakes and the charge and your car recharges your batteries. I think that's kind of what it's telling you to do. It's almost like, and when you look at it, it almost looks like this knight, he needs to unplug and become the Hermit a little bit. That way, when he comes back down off the mountaintop, he can hop right back onto his horse and, get back to business as usual. Now, the Lenormand card you got was the Clover. And again, this is flat out serendipitous luck. That's all that means. It means you are a lucky ducky. And and I'm seeing that. Honestly, I'm getting a very Jupiter vibe off this too, because Jupiter is excess, but it is also good fortune. It's like windfalls. But, the only problem with Jupiter is that it's immediately followed by Saturn. So, and actually when you see this, even if there's, just to put the astrologer hat on for a minute, even if you've had a good Jupiter transit, it never fails. It seems like the moment that you have a wave of good luck, it's usually on the heels of that, usually it follows with some kind of square or some other transit that just kind of reins you in a little bit. It's not necessarily bad, but it's just kind of, Saturn really teaches you that, don't be easy come, easy go. If you got a windfall of money, if you invest it wisely, then when the Saturn transit comes around, you won't be in dire straits. But if you win the jackpot in Vegas and then you spend all of it, then that might be the Jupiter side effect of easy come, easy go. You had a windfall and then it was easily swept away. So what it's telling you is right now you are on the crest of the wave. You have another wave coming. Your luck is going to be around for a while. But definitely, exude when the Hermit shows up in your reading, heed his call. It might be telling you to unplug and reflect, because this is a lot of overstimulus. It's probably too much. You might need to pull away and kind of recharge your batteries and reflect and be grateful, because when you're grateful, the universe will give you more. Then you can come down off the mountaintop, get back on your horse, and get right back to your luck. But that's wonderful. I'm very happy for you. Lucky times are great. And, it just also remembers that it also, the fact that this is the number 2, and I just think that it's kind of telling you to keep it balanced. Keep it balanced. Don't burn yourself out, and don't squander anything. Because you might be coming up on a time where you need to hold on to some of that luck for a rainy day. Now you got the meditation card you got was creativity, and for the record, it came out reversed earlier too. So I am going to kind of read it as if this might be kind of telling you that you're either not being creative enough, or what this, I'll get into that interpretation in a minute, but in the moment of creativity, there is a flow of energy and an expression of imagination that can be health-giving as well as deeply fulfilling. Hold the memory of that moment in your mind and try to recapture it in your meditation. I am immersing myself in the creative process. The goal is to produce a work of art that will make me proud. Creative energy will flow to every part of my body, boosting my health and sense of contentment. Let the creative flow embrace and inspire the people around me. So now what that tells me is that, and believe me, I totally empathize. The beautiful thing about, and what I think is great about being a creative person, and I think that you are a creative person, honestly, wands, that's fire, and fire are the most creative people. Honestly, every single, if you're Leo, and this could be, doesn't have to be the glue and paint kind of definition of creativity either. Maybe you just dress really well, and that's, the mixing and matching of style is your creative outlet. Maybe you're good at some kind of, artisan type of craft, but the fact that creativity kept coming out in the reverse, and I keep seeing like what looks like Jupiter and wands and abundance, what it might be telling you is, now the beautiful thing about creativity is that it is not the product, but it's the act of creating that makes us happy. Being creative makes you happy. When you create something, even if it turns out bad, and believe me, I like to sew, and I could show you some pictures of some of the failures. But the other, the very act of creating is an energetic outlet. But sometimes when you create too much, you might be filling time with it. Maybe, and again, being close to the holiday season, maybe you are feeling, when the days are short, sometimes, money is a little bit tight this time of year. Maybe you start to feel a little bit blue and you think, oh, okay, let me go to the craft store. Let me do this outlet that I like to do that always makes me happy, because the act of creating something makes you happy. It releases endorphins in your brain, whether it produces something, that is practical or not, or just aesthetic. But the fact that creativity is in the reverse, and the fact that I'm seeing so much energy, you know, nonstop energy, might be telling me that that you might be reverting to your creative outlet as a crutch. And I'll be honest, because when you think about it, it's true. You know, have you ever, you know, had things to do and you're like, no, I just want to scrapbook today, that's all I want to do, and then you spend 4 hours scrapbooking and then you're like, oh gosh, where'd the day go? And then you're almost more tired, and again, burnout, you're almost more tired because you squeezed in. And it was great, I mean, the creative outlet was fantastic, it's helpful for you. Either that, or maybe you're spending a lot of money on craft things, and you know, it's like, oh gosh, okay, now I got, you know, more material, but I don't have lunch money tomorrow, you know. It just kind of tells me, the fact that it's in reverse, it might be telling me that kind of pull back and go into your hermit and try to be silent and be still. That might be it too. The moment that you want to jump and fill every 5-minute span with some kind of work, that's still work, you know what I mean? It's still overstimulation. And you know, you've got miles to go before, you know, we've got the holidays coming up, you know, you might need to reserve some of that energy. You know, definitely balance it. I don't think that you should sleep all day, but you know, just try not to, you know, try not to be all or nothing, you know, don't be going Mach speed and then, you know, falling down exhausted. I think that's what the Hermit's kind of trying to say. And it does seem like it's pointing to some type of craft or some kind of activity. But do know that this is a very abundant time, and, you know, just know that, you know, you don't, you know, definitely ride the wave. You've earned it. You know, this is wonderful when things are abundant. That's a wonderful thing. But, you know, just try to pace yourself. Try to level it out when you can. And if it starts to become overstimulating, there is nothing wrong with just being silent and kind of pulling into yourself. You know, just take some time. I know the days off, I can speak, you know, speaking personally, I love the days off where I have no plans, because then you can just take your time. You know, you want to sleep in, sleep in. If you want to, you know, drink a second cup of coffee and just think, you know, that's a hermit concept, right? Just kind of chillax. All right, guys. Well, that's wonderful. I'm so glad to see so many lucky cards, though. That's real. Deck 3, that's wonderful. Citrune's kind of a lucky stone, too. All right. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope everyone is having a good Tuesday. Now, I wanted to let everyone know that tomorrow is another national day. I won't tell you what day it is. You'll have to tune in to find out. But I have a super special, exciting video for you, and that'll be posted first thing tomorrow. So I sincerely hope that you check it out. If you like my content, I would be so flattered if you would like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.